the bombs bursting in air, yet drove through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. The invocation will be given by the Reverend Mr. Richard C. Clossman, campus minister for the American Baptist Church on the Ball State University campus. Reverend Clossman.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, in whom we find our common cause, we invoke your presence upon this gathering. For this is a day of joy and celebration for many among us, as well as a time for reflection and anticipation. For some, it has been a long journey through school, 4 years, some more. And many come with honor for themselves because of academic excellence. Others come having struggled to come to this ceremony. We consecrate all of these years of preparation to the good of our world and to the happiness of persons. Lord, show us the significance of this hour. We thank you for those individuals, parents for the most part, who have sacrificed and silently agonized over the financial needs of these years. Surely they are the angels of our past who have been willing to pay the price for better things for us. Lord, although we are regaled in academic robe, we cannot disguise our concerns, for many of us are anxious about the future and about jobs. Some of us are wondering about the value of years of preparation when no opportunity for employment has yet appeared. Others with job in hand are eager to prove themselves adequate for the vocation for which they have prepared. For those searching for employment, Lord, deliver them from the frustration of expecting too much too soon. We cannot always do what we like, but grant that we may like what we must do. Give each person the determination to make right things happen. And let us not think it strange, Lord God, if we pray for guidance and it comes in unusual ways. Grant us a mind to be useful in the mandate of service. Lay on our hearts the hungry of this world, the dying of the reluctant soldier, the indignation of men unjustly used. Allow us gladness in increasing men's knowledge and binding up men's wounds, breaking the shackles of those unfree. God, go with each graduate as they take leave. Guard them with gifts of wisdom and love and courage. I pray this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ, my Lord. Amen.
I've been requested to ask Frida Helton or Fred Eckstein to step to the east end of the Arts Building for a message. Frida Helton or Fred Eckstein, please. Graduates, members of the faculty, parents, relatives, and friends, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this 63rd commencement of Ball State University in this beautiful setting. The music today is being provided by Mr. Roger McConnell of our music faculty and the University Symphonic Band. The singing of the national anthem was led by Mr. F. Lemuel Anderson, also of our music faculty. I again acknowledge the participation of the Reverend Mr. Clossman, who gave the invocation. We are particularly pleased to have with us for this commencement the members of the Ball State University Board of Trustees. I would ask each of them to stand as his or her name is called, and I would ask you, the members of the audience, to withhold your recognition by applause until all have been introduced. Dr. Alexander M. Bracken of Muncie, President of the Board of Trustees. Mr. Will Parker of Muncie, Secretary of the Board of Trustees. Mrs. Robert O'Malley of Richmond, Assistant Secretary of the Board of Trustees. Mr. Harold W. Wallace II of Indianapolis, Vice President of the Board of Trustees. Dr. Dean Spiker of Mishawaka, Trustee. Mr. F. Edwin Schoweiler of Fort Wayne, Trustee. Would you join me in recognizing these trustees, please? Others on the platform I should like to recognize at this time are, and again, would you please withhold applause until all have been introduced, Mr. William Marone, Elkhart, President of the Ball State University Alumni Council. Dr. Merrill C. Byrell, Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students. Dr. Oliver C. Bum, Vice President for Public Affairs and University Development. Dr. Richard W. Burkhardt, Vice President for Instructional Affairs and Dean of Faculties. Dr. Joseph C. Wagner, Vice President for Business Affairs and Treasurer. Dr. Victor B. Lawhead, Dean of Undergraduate Programs. Dr. Robert H. Kenker, Dean of the Graduate School, and of course, Professor Anderson and Reverend Clossman. Now I would invite you to express appreciation for these persons' presence on the platform. It is a very real and a very personal pleasure for me to have this opportunity to deliver the commencement address to you, the May 1972 graduates. Most of you receiving your baccalaureate degree today entered as freshmen in the autumn quarter of 1968. This, as you know, was also my freshman year, if you will, as president. Thus, I have always spoken of you as my first class. In addition, many of you graduating today with associate or graduate degrees also began the work being recognized in these commencement exercises during this 4-year period. On September 10, 1968, I spoke to many of you at the freshman convocation. Now I suspect that most of you who were present on that day were so preoccupied with the excitement of those hectic days as a beginning freshman that you might not now even remember whether or not you attended the convocation, let alone what transpired on that occasion, and even much less what was said. Suffice it to say that in those remarks, I attempted to convey the notion that if anything is to be accomplished, if anything, including yourself, is to change, something must be done. Sitting idly by, doing nothing, accomplishes nothing. Your presence here today attests to your having acted, to your having done something during the last 4 years. I and all of the many others in this audience who have gathered to witness this significant milestone in your lives commend you for having accepted and met the challenges of your respective degree programs. The same challenge to do something lest a kind of hardening of the arteries, or worse, rigor mortis, occur, that same challenge is continually applicable to the university itself. We are all so very busy in our daily lives, however, that it is often difficult to realize what has transpired around us. And this is an appropriate time, I think, to take a few moments to take some note of some of the changes that have occurred in our university during our time together as a result of the efforts of the collective membership of the Ball State University community. Just a moment ago, I used the term hardening of the arteries. When used in reference to the university, it is sometimes called hardening of the curriculum, Our university needs and gets, I believe, annual examination for this condition, and thus far has avoided a pathology in this segment of its life science. Let's review some of the evidence briefly. During the past 4 years, we have instituted substantial revisions in our general education program, providing, among other improvements, increased flexibility of options and interdisciplinary studies through an elective colloquium in the major components of the program. Limited pass-fail options were approved to encourage wider exploration of subject areas by removing the need to compete for grades with students having greater knowledge and experience in that discipline. Opportunities to bypass courses covering knowledge and processes already possessed by a student through credit by examination were also expanded. The living learning concept was introduced to the campus in what most of us know as the Carmichael Project. Course repetition, DACEP, which translated is Directed Admissions Students Experimental Program, and another special program to work with students on academic probation were all designed to assist students in academic need, and it has been a remarkably successful effort to enable them to overcome their problems rather than to summarily dismiss them from the university. Our experience in these new programs has spawned yet another larger program as well. Now, time obviously does not permit mention of all of the many, many changes in our instructional programs during the campus life of this class, but another dimension of those changes certainly should be mentioned in my mind. While study overseas programs have been available to Ball State students for a long time, we have seen a remarkable surge in such opportunities these last few years. Individuals and groups have long been able to study in France, Germany, Spain, and Mexico, but newcomers to this list include Honduras, Canada, Italy, Korea, and others are in the discussion stage. Special mention should be made of London, England, from which a group of architecture students has just returned, and where our own London Center will be in operation next fall. In addition to its multidisciplinary program at the London Center, XL, the experimental program in elementary education, will conduct a program in London next autumn quarter as well. Note should also be made of the student teaching opportunity available in Bolivia for a time until the political situation there dictated its closing. Each of these international studies programs underscores, in my mind, two important factors. Ball State University is interested in developing meaningful educational experiences, and it recognizes the need for much greater exposure to other nations and other cultures if the university is to prepare its students and graduates to deal intelligently with the problems of our shrinking world. In yet another international dimension, of course, is our own graduate program now being offered in 6 nations in Europe under a contract with the United States Air Forces Europe. In its first 3 years, it has awarded master's degrees to 250 U.S. military and civilian personnel. Perhaps more importantly, 37 Ball State University faculty members have had their horizons broadened through the experience of living and teaching in other lands. Through this work, I can assure you, the already good name of Ball State University has been enhanced. Air Force command and staff personnel, as well as those involved directly in the program, speak of our faculty, our staff, and our graduate program there in the highest terms. The influence of the university beyond the campus has been extended here at home as well. This year, through our educational television station, WIPB, approximately 750,000 people are now afforded the opportunity to receive in their home, via our station, outstanding educational programs, the productions of the Public Broadcasting Service, and those produced locally by our own staff. This ceremony, as I guess you realize, is itself being broadcast live by WIPB. The interest and support of the Muncie and area communities was once again evident in this project, both through a capital funds drive and an annual membership campaign. Support for Ball State from private gifts has always been an important reality in the life of our university. Indeed, we owe our very birth as an institution to the vision, the faith, and the generosity of the Five Ball brothers. They and their families continued that interest and support. But they have been joined over the years in a marvelous way by thousands of others, and especially so in the last 4 years. Total annual giving to Ball State University increased from $386,000 in 1967 to $1,088,000 in 1971. President's Club donors have increased from 145 in 1967 to 644 last year. And this year, which has 7 months yet to go, we already have 725. Alumni contributors have more than doubled in this period, and the dollars contributed by alumni are nearly 3.5 times greater. All of these figures signify great faith in our university because of the great work that is being done by so many. There have been other evidences of faith in the present and the future of our university as well. We have been accredited during your 4 years here by the National League for Nursing, the American Chemical Society, and the American Association of Museums. The mail any day now, we have been assured by telephone, will bring notice of accreditation from the National Architectural Accrediting Board of the program in the College of Architecture and Planning, which graduated its first class only last year. Last year also saw the enrollment of the first group of our first-year medical students in conjunction with the Indiana University School of Medicine. This year, we inaugurated the new Doctor of Arts degree in music program, having been one of only 10 universities in the nation to receive a grant from the Carnegie Corporation to plan and begin offering this new degree. Other new degrees awarded at Ball State for the first time during your 4 years here include the Associate in Arts, the Associate in Science, the Master of Business Administration, and the Master of Library Science. Ball State now offers the master's degree in 78 fields of study, the specialist in education in 15, and the doctorate in 24. Earlier today, we celebrated the beginning of the construction of a new university library with a groundbreaking ceremony. Ours is truly a vigorous, emerging university. Now, while you may or may not have been aware of these and many other changes occurring around you, even more important changes have been taking place. And those changes have been taking place in each of you. You are different from what you were on September 10, 1968. Some more than others, to be sure, for that is the nature of life. But the experiences of the past 4 years have inevitably changed each of you. Foremost among the changes which might have occurred in you, I hope, is a greater readiness to recognize the complex nature of all of life. The uneducated person reduces each experience and each situation to its most simplistic dimension. It rarely occurs to him that there might be other parts to the puzzle. I hope most fervently that as a result of your years on this campus, you find it not only desirable but necessary to examine each problem, each situation carefully, considering all of its ramifications, before coming to the conclusion that you believe this or that to be true, or that you should act in this way rather than in that. Columnist Sidney Harris some years ago put it this way: the educated person is one who understands the implications of his beliefs. T.S. Eliot extended the idea further in his words, "Where is the life we have lost in living? Where is the wisdom that we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge that we have lost in information?" I took the time earlier to cite some of the developments and changes which have come to pass in the university during your 4 years, in part because a few of you have expressed to me your disappointment in what you see as a static institution. This did not surprise me, really, for it is not uncommon for students to be impatient in their desire for change, and it isn't bad either. This has always been so. A poem I chanced to read recently expresses what might be called the theme of our day. Its title is Transit. So many swift tomorrows come without distinction, one by one, that I prefer them in the sum, careless of the setting sun. Once I thought I knew the way to separate them as they pass, but now they merge with yesterday and make of time an underpass. Perhaps what I would say is that today I find not when, but how, and make of life a rheostat, the set of which is thrust at now. But so learned and capable a man as Kingman Brewster, president of Yale University, observed not long ago what he called the threat of impatience. A fundamental threat to the survival of the university, said President Brewster, is impatience. The targets of that impatience, identified by him, included inaction, complexity, and doubt. Of the latter, Brewster observed, dogmatic assertion is a great relief from impatience. To some, blind fanaticism is beautiful. I would hope that an outgrowth or byproduct of your awareness of the pervasive complexity in life would be the incorporation of some degree of patience in your lives. Not to the point of inaction or blindness to needs, certainly, but I do not fear those possibilities, for you have shown, as no other college generation has, an earnest dedication to improving the world in which we live. You have shown to us all that you are in many ways extremely unselfish, giving generously of your time and your talents to aid the less privileged, to press for greater freedom for those whose lives have previously been circumscribed by law or custom or circumstance. You have sought genuinely to promote the American dream. We salute you for that. There is one other hope I would express for you, and it grows out of the awareness that we are living in a spectacular and challenging age. The results of our highly sophisticated technology stagger our imaginations daily and tend to cause us to worship at the shrine of science, or is it fast becoming scientism? Important as it is, productive as it has been, worthy of continued development as it must be, technological advancement in and of itself is incapable of ministering to the human spirit within each of us. The hope, then, is that through your life as a student here at Ball State University, you have learned to appreciate the less spectacular, the simple, and the commonplace, at least on occasion. It is in the ordinary and the more natural that the human spirit finds its nourishment. Robert Frost captured this thought beautifully in his lines, "The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had grew. Don't misunderstand. Do not ignore the momentous issues of life. Do not shut out the advancing refinements of our scientific age. But if you would live life in its richest consciousness, by all means, be alert to the little things around you. They can make such a difference. Gwen Frostick, in her volume Wingborn, speaks most effectively of the world of nature which she knows so well and loves so deeply. I close with these few words from that book, hoping ever so much that they might find acceptance in your minds and expression in your lives. She wrote, "Wingborn, we too can rise to the heights where clouds recede in the clear blue sky. We can reach far up and touch the stars and feel the passionate joy of being. The wings of the mind are strong and free." 4 years ago, we said to you, welcome. Today, we say, congratulations and best wishes. At this time, Dr. Richard W. Burkhardt, Vice President for Instructional Affairs and Dean of Faculties, will present the graduating class.
Dean of Undergraduate Programs, Dr. Victor B. Lawhead, will present the candidates for associate and baccalaureate degrees.
Will the candidates for the degree Associate in Arts please stand?
Mr. President, as Vice President for Instructional Affairs and Dean of Faculties, I present to you as candidates for degrees those who on or before this day have completed or have a reasonable expectation of completing all of the stated requirements for their respective Associate in Arts degree. I present the candidates in absentia and those who stand before you.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty that you have or will have completed the courses required for graduation, and that you have proved yourselves worthy of the honor of graduation, now by the authority vested in the Board of Trustees and delegated to me, I hereby confer upon you the associate degrees which you have earned, with all the rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto, and of which the diplomas issued by the university shall forever be the testimony.
Will the graduates be seated?
Candidates who have completed the honors program of the university and those candidates who are on the dean's list with a ratio of 3.6 are wearing red and white honors cords. Would you please rise to be recognized? You may be seated. Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Architecture please rise? Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Arts please rise? Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Science please rise?
Mr. President, as Vice President of Instructional Affairs and Dean of Faculties, I present to you as candidates for degrees those who on or before this day have completed or have a reasonable expectation of completing all of the stated requirements for their respective baccalaureate degrees. I present the candidates in absentia and those who stand before you.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty that you have or will have completed the courses required for graduation, and that you have proven yourselves worthy of the honor of graduation, now by the authority vested in the Board of Trustees and delegated to me, I admit you to the company of educated men and women and confer on you the degrees for which you are competent, with all the rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto, of which the diplomas issued by the university shall forever be the testimony.
Will the graduates be seated? The Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Robert H. Kenker, will present the candidates for graduate degrees.
In the interest of expediency, the master's candidates are already hooded. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Science please rise? Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Music please rise? Will the candidates for the degree Master of Business Administration please rise? Will the candidates for the degree Master of Library Science please rise? Will the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Education please rise? Will the candidates for the degree Master of Arts please rise?
Mr. President, as Vice President for Instructional Affairs and Dean of Faculties, I present to you as candidates for degrees those who on or before this day have completed or have a reasonable expectation of completing all of the stated requirements for their respective master's degrees. I present the candidates in absentia and those who stand before you.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty that you have completed the courses required for graduation, that you have proved yourselves worthy of the honor of graduation, and that you have accomplished with distinction the first stage of graduate study, now by the authority vested in the Board of Trustees and delegated to me, I confer on you the degrees for which you are competent, with all the rights, honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto, and of which the diplomas issued by the university shall forever be the testimony.
Will the graduates be seated?
Will the candidates for the degree Specialist in Education please rise? Will the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy please rise? Will the candidates for the degree Doctor of Education please rise?
Mr. President, as Vice President for Instructional Affairs and Dean of Faculties, I present to you as candidates for degrees those who on or before this day have completed all of the stated requirements for their respective advanced degrees. I present the candidates in absentia and those who stand before you.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty that you have completed the courses required for graduation, that you have proved yourselves worthy of the honor of graduation, and that you have reached scholarly attainment with high distinction in your field, now by the authority vested in the Board of Trustees and delegated to me, I confer on you the advanced graduate degrees for which you are competent, with all the rights, honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto, of which the diplomas issued by the university shall forever be the testimony. We have high hopes for your future as members of the ancient and universal company of scholars.
The graduates who will advance degrees will proceed to the platform, cross as their names are called, and will be invested with symbols of their degrees. Two candidates have qualified for the degree Specialist in Education: Ruth Lavinia Wagner DeGroff. David Wayne Huffman, in absentia. 23 candidates have qualified for the degree Doctor of Education at Ball State University, and they will now receive symbols of their degrees. Dr. Russell Edwin Brooker, Jr., Assistant Professor of Psychology Counseling, Ball State University, in absentia. Dr. Ann R. Carlton, Assistant Professor of English, Oklahoma City University, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in absentia. Dr. Sandy Carol Chadwick, Assistant Professor of Elementary Education, State University of New York, College at Potsdam, New York. Dr. Charles Wesley Cox, Assistant Professor of Social Studies, Marshall University, Huntington, West Virginia. Dr. Hope Patton Davis, Jr., in absentia, Associate Professor of Political Science, Jacksonville State College, Jacksonville, Alabama. Dr. Theodore Prescott Emery, Jr., in absentia, Associate Professor of Mathematics, Head of the Division of Mathematics and Science, University of Maine at Farmington, Maine. Dr. James Philip Engel, Associate Professor of Education, Texas Southern University, Houston, Texas. In absentia, Dr. Rosemary Garvey, Psychiatric Social Worker, Comprehensive Community Mental Health Center, the Good Samaritan Hospital, Vincennes, Indiana. Dr. David Sloan Gwynn, teacher in the Science Department, Northside High School, Muncie, Indiana. Dr. Paul Carl Hafer, Associate Professor of Secondary Education, Mansfield State College, Mansfield, Pennsylvania. Dr. Robert Franklin Hessong, in absentia, Assistant Professor of Education, Butler University, Indianapolis, Indiana. Dr. Larry Joe Horney, in absentia, Instructor of English and Assistant in Honors, Ball State University. Dr. Harry Francis Kelly, in absentia, Associate Professor of English, Marycrest College, Davenport, Iowa. Dr. Robert Lawrence Kent, Professor of Biology, Indiana Central College, Indianapolis, Indiana. Dr. John Robert Klutz, Major, United States Air Force, United States Air Force Academy, Colorado. In absentia, Dr. Ray Robert Lewis, Associate Director, Student Personnel Office for Teacher Education and Certification, Indiana State University, Terre Haute. In absentia, Dr. Jerome Francis Megna, Assistant Professor of Education, Brooklyn College, Brooklyn, New York. Dr. Levon E. Miller, Director of Buildings and Grounds, Fort Wayne Community Schools, Fort Wayne, Indiana. In absentia, Dr. Francis Anthony Simonetti, Assistant Professor of English and Education, Rhode Island College, Providence, Rhode Island. Dr. Audrey Sharon Littrell Smith, Assistant Professor of Psychology, Counseling, Ball State University. Dr. Jerry Grant Smoke, Assistant Professor of Art Education, Sir George Williams University, Montreal, Canada. Dr. Myron Lehman Taylor, Instructor of English, Ball State University. Dr. Charles Henry Welch, Assistant to the Dean of the College of Fine and Applied Arts, Ball State University. Two candidates have qualified for the degree Doctor of Philosophy. Dr. John Bruce Dudley, Assistant Professor and Chairman of the History Department, Prince George's Community College, Largo, Maryland. In absentia, Dr. Gazim Ghazi, Associate Professor of Elementary Education, College of Education, Tehran University, Tehran, Iran. The honorary degree, Doctor of Laws, is now to be awarded to John Wesley Fisher. Dr. Pruis will read the citation.
John Wesley Fisher, you have served your adopted state of Indiana, the community of Muncie, and the Ball Corporation with the same enthusiasm, vigor, and steadfastness of purpose you exhibited as a campus leader at the University of Tennessee, where you earned your bachelor's degree in 1938. In all of your endeavors, be it in corporate offices, government halls, community leadership, or within the privacy of your family, you exhibit a fidelity, a perseverance, and an untiring energy for any task you undertake. This has been demonstrated numerous times during the 31 years you have lived among us. You mastered each rung in the Ball Corporation business ladder painstakingly and diligently. Beginning as glass factories manager in 1942, the same year you completed the Master of Business Administration degree at the Harvard University Graduate School, and advancing to president of the corporation and vice chairman of the board in 1970. In addition, you serve with distinction on the board of directors of 5 other manufacturing firms in the United States. An articulate advocate of businessmen assuming leadership in local community affairs and in government, you have demonstrated this principle by serving as director and president of the Muncie Chamber of Commerce, Muncie Rotary Club, Muncie Community Chest, and as a director of the Ball Memorial Hospital, Muncie Airport Incorporated, and the American National Bank and Trust Company. Your dynamic leadership has been recognized at the state level on several occasions. Twice you have served as president of the Indiana State Chamber of Commerce, and nationally you were president of the Glass Container Manufacturers Institute. You have demonstrated your devotion to the cause of education by your trusteeship at DePauw University, your active interest in Ball State University, your past service as vice chairman of the State Policy Commission on Post-High School Education, and your current membership on the Governor's Commission on Medical Education. A commanding voice in the halls of government and at conference tables where economic issues involving the vitality of the nation are concerned, you speak clearly of the benefits of a free enterprise system in America. Yours has been a worthy and dignified stewardship that you have borne for a proud and distinguished family in this community. Ball State University is proud and honored to recognize you, John Wesley Fisher, industrialist, civic leader, family man, and to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws with all the rights and privileges thereunto appertaining. Because of Dr. Fisher's long and close association with the work of this university, I've asked him to say a few words at this time. Dr. Fisher.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Pruis. I must say that's a new designation for me. I've been addressed in many fashions, many ways through the years, but I now feel very humble and appreciate very much this honor which Dr. Pruis, Dr. Bracken, President of the Board, members of the Board, faculty, and administration have conferred upon me today. I am informed a recipient of an honorary degree seldom responds, but today we break precedent. Having observed and to a very limited extent participated in the growth of Ball State University from a small teacher's college when I arrived in Muncie more than 30 years ago, and to see it literally blossom into this substantial, well-respected, and recognized university of today has been most rewarding. So many unknown contributions made by this institution through its students, its faculty, its administration, to the life of Muncie and to the state of Indiana have made our community not only a better place to live, but has made it the envy of many of our sister cities in the Midwest. Philanthropic brothers would have been most proud of this record, which symbolizes constructive growth, a hallmark of the Ball family history. While recognizing success in attaining this preeminent position in the educational world, I am reminded that success is a journey, not a destination. We must nurture and plan, as has been Ball State University's history under the guidance of Dr. John Emmons and now Dr. John Pruis, to meet the challenges of the future. Malthus pronounced the doom of the human race many years ago, but technology and hybrid seeds, fertilization, and scientific methods of farming have dispelled his gloomy outlook. It has been said today that ecological considerations are foremost in the lives of America and even in the world. But I must remind you that ecology is important until the lights go out. Technology will solve environmental problems. For example, clean breeder reactors producing electrical energy are already successfully in use in Russia and in Britain, and are predicted to be in use here before the end of this decade. Fair-minded men and women will solve social problems if we're willing to work and use the available tools and knowledge that have been handed us. But the solution to these present-day problems lie in the hands of young people. Young people who will diligently apply themselves to work, to have vision, to be resourceful, and to respect the laws and the rights of others that have built our society into the most prosperous, the most healthy, and the most vibrant civilization known to man. A personal observation of my own philosophy may be helpful to some of you young folks who are commencing a career today. I can truthfully say that there have been very few days in my adult life, and even extending back to my youth, when I did not step out of bed in the morning believing sincerely that something exciting was going to happen that day. Some days it takes a lot of abundant faith to believe in this. To me, life is full of adventure, excitement, tempered by disappointments as well as rewards. But abiding faith, and as a Persian adage directs one, to ride hard, to tell the truth, to shoot straight, and to be charitable to your fellow man, brings great satisfaction. Keep in mind this fact of life. A leader in any enterprise is only as successful as those around him permits him to be. Therefore, as you were wished by your president, with patience, support your leaders, those who dare to stand for what is wise and not fuzzy, unproven, untried, irresponsible ideas and theories that do nothing but disrupt and impede the progress of civilization. Aristotle admonished us to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of excellence, not mediocrity. May I express my thanks once more to those responsible for this great honor. For it is a privilege to receive it here in the presence of so many friends, members of my family, and to the dear ones who have made my life most complete. Thank you very much.
Now then, to you who have now graduated, I would add only this. This evening you have joined the well over 37,000 men and women who have stood here in past years. This ceremony celebrates very properly your accomplishments as students of Ball State University. All of us here commend you for this significant accomplishment. But we also add that our expectations of you, of each of you, are now the greater. You came to Ball State University to be students. We hope that you leave to become productive and responsible members of society. The outside world will not honor you for the degree or degrees you hold, It will honor only your contributions to society. It expects you to do more than merely earn a living. It expects you to put your new knowledge and experience to work for the betterment of mankind, and it sorely needs you for that purpose. If the university has fulfilled its purpose, you will use your education in identifying and seeking to solve a wide variety of problems. And this will come about only as you become personally dedicated to and involved in serving your fellow man and your society. Now, there are many in this audience today, I am positive, who have sacrificed some of their own time and resources so that you graduates might be in cap and gown today. Some of them are your parents, some are husbands, wives, children, others are other relatives and friends. And I'm going to ask them to stand now so that you graduates might thank them for their efforts on your behalf with your applause. Would the parents and the husbands and wives and children, grandpas and grandmas all stand up so they can give you a chance? You give them a chance to show you. Then, too, graduates, may I, on your behalf, thank the faculty and staff of this university for their significant role in guiding you through the many experiences which have brought you to this place this evening. The strength and the reputation of any institution of higher education reside in large measure in the loyalty and the performance of her alumni. We trust that you will be willing to serve Ball State through your continued interest and support. Perhaps our major vehicle of communication with you will be through the Alumni Association. We urge you to be an active member of that nationally recognized organization. We invite you to visit us whenever you can. We solicit your comments about our programs and policies, for this is one of the best ways we have of evaluating what we are doing. We congratulate you most sincerely for your past achievements, and we wish you well in your future endeavors.
After the singing of the alma mater, we would ask that the audience be seated during the recessional and remain seated until all students, or all graduates and faculty have left the plaza. And now, if you'd please stand and join in singing the alma mater.